Yo, 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 yo. Welcome into the Hop. Gabe and Steven here for you. Welcome back. Welcome in. Welcome to whatever you're doing right now.
Yes, sirree, Bob. What's going on, everybody? We are back for a great round of drinking. Round 38. We made another trip up to good old Massachusetts. And, Steven, what are we drinking today?
We're drinking Crue Brew Brewing out of Raynham, Massachusetts. We have a taproom special coming up. We have a couple of great beers that I'm really pumped about.
Hey, Steven.
Hey, Gabe.
Oh, let's grab a drink.
It's September. It's fall. The leaves are starting to crumble and crackle and cascade.
It's not 1,000 degrees out anymore, even when the sun is out.
And fall beer is on the horizon. We've gotten our hands on several pumpkin ales. We got the Southern Tier recently. We got the Two Roads recently.
Rosemary's Baby.
We've been drinking them. We're not doing that today, but we're going to give you... but we got to take a lovely trip up to Massachusetts.
Yes.
And we got to do sort of a Massachusetts brewery tour, visit a whole bunch of different places.
Yes,
and
a lot of fun.
I would say that the one we're featuring today might have been possibly my favorite. Certainly one of them.
Yeah,
excellent
definitely.
brewery.
Really, really great stuff. As we mentioned earlier, Crue Brew out of, I'm going to say it wrong, Raynham.
Or
Raynham. Awesome spot. Again, not the biggest, corporation type place, but we felt right at home.
Actually, the opposite of that. It's a nice, small, family-oriented, family-owned operation. We'll get all into it, but we just had the best time there. So we're so excited to be bringing them to you guys today on the Hop, and we're gonna drink a lot of their beers. We're gonna give you a full look at Crue Brew Brewing today.
We'll get into it, but our boy Kevin, shout out to Kevin at Crue Brew. Kevin hooked us up with, we got a flight, we had an extra beer, we got beers to go, we got an extra beer there. We did well.
We're happy about it. You can follow the show at the HO Podcast. We are on Instagram. We are on Twitter. We are on Facebook. We are wherever things happen, except TikTok. We're not on there. Not yet.
Oh, boy.
We're on YouTube. You can subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts. You can rate and review on Apple Podcasts, and I wish you would. That is the best way to support the show. It's also the best way to give your feedback and have your input on how the show turns out. And so we appreciate all the people that have been out there reviewing so far. It's simple, it's easy, and it's super helpful to us. So please do that.
Send us an email. What should we drink next? What brewery should we repeat with other beers? Should we go back to ciders? Should we break out the tequila? Should we do wine? Should we do water? I don't know. There's alcoholic water. If you listen a couple episodes back, you'd know that.
We should do a whole episode of just not even alcoholic, just spring water.
So we got like Dasani, Aquafina. We just grab them all. Poland Spring. Off the nose.
Off the Deer Park. I'm really getting...
Woodsy? Oh my God. There's a peach in this. It's like, it's just still water.
Oh God. Let's get into the news real quick here before we jump into the fun stuff. Leading off at number one, several breweries in California, Oregon, and Washington primarily have had to cease their outdoor service lately due to the raging wildfires there. Of course, this is national news that hopefully everyone's aware of by now. I can't imagine how you wouldn't be. But there's a whole lot of fire raging. It is creating horrible air quality in that area, the worst in the world, which is a huge statement. Some notable breweries that have been affected include Russian River and Deschutes. Now, Russian River, they had closed their tap room over the weekend. They were able to reopen for the moment. They put up a statement today saying smoke from the many fires burning up and down the West Coast continue to create poor air quality throughout Sonoma County. They remain hopeful that it will continue to improve this week, but both their pubs, for the moment, are back to the normal COVID-era operations with outdoor dining and takeout in Santa Rosa. So that's a positive step for them. Meanwhile, Deschutes, their pubs in Portland and Bend remain closed as of today. They put up a tweet on this past Friday, last Friday, September 11th, saying that their Portland and Bend pubs were closed due to the unhealthy air quality in the area. Those pubs remain closed. The brewery tasting room at Deschutes in Bend does appear to be open, but if you find yourself wanting to visit Deschutes, give them a call and double check, because it's a very fluid situation that's changing very quickly. So everybody stay safe my people out on the West Coast.
Moving right along, for all you Night Shift fans out there, they are now based in Connecticut. They are going to be moving. They're distributing into the great Nutmeg State in mid-October, and we are pumped for it. Yay! I love Night Shift beer. If you've ever been to the brewery, it is absolutely incredible. They have all sorts of great stuff. Michael Oxton and Rob Burns, who co-founded the brewery in 2012, mentioned that they plan to build the distribution business in the New England state from the ground up. They plan to operate an 11,000 square foot warehouse in Stratford, baby. They're going to be neighbors with Two Roads.
They are going to be neighbors with Two Roads.
That is dope.
Well, their brewery is staying in Massachusetts, so don't freak out if anyone's thinking like Night Shift is leaving the state of Massachusetts. They're not.
They're leaving.
But they're
going
to be distributing in Connecticut. And the only reason this is news to us is because it means more Night Shift beer will be available in Connecticut.
Anytime I come home now, because we've never really been able to get it, and if we do, it's always like one or two things.
Yeah.
It's never like they're wide. So they have a bunch of stuff. So really awesome to see, and where better than Stratford, which I'm calling the beer capital of Connecticut. It's not, don't quote me, but that's how I feel.
It kind of is. It kind of is. Other Connecticut breweries might hate you saying that, but it kind of is.
You know, what are you going to do?
Welcome to Connecticut. Night
What
Shifters.
up, owls?
And finally, New Belgium. Are you excited for the election, Gabe? Me either. And
I didn't know how to answer that. It's like, different election.
I feel like this election has been going on for 15 years, but this election,
there's a better election
that's way more exciting. New Belgium is inviting their fans to vote and choose the first Voodoo Ranger rotating IPA of 2021. Now, the Voodoo Ranger rotating IPA is like I think it's the fifth best-selling brand for New Belgium.
Oh yeah,
it is widely popular. I think they started it in, I want to say, January of 2019. It was a couple years ago. They release a new IPA every 3 months. So it's a rotating series. And this is called Vote Voodoo, the Thirsty Games. And it's an election that features a month-long online activation series designed to engage consumers in various polls. So you're building the Voodoo Ranger action movie star of your dreams. Your choices are, number 1, the Agent 77 IPA, which is brewed with international Nelson, Sauvin, and Galaxy hops to create a fruity and floral IPA that's as charismatic as it is citrusy. And choice number 2 is the Captain Dynamite IPA, a hazy IPA juiced with Mosaic, Simcoe, and Cascade hops and exploding with tropical flavors and aromas. So voting is open through September at votevoodoo.com. Election results will be announced on October 1st of this year, and the winning beer will be available in January of 2021.
These beers look absolutely dope. I haven't, just based off the descriptions and what they look like, my vote would be the Agent 77 IPA.
I was just going to ask, what's your vote?
It's the skeleton, normal logo, dressed like James Bond, but he's still got the hat and sunglasses. I mean, I want that logo just on a t-shirt. Like, just him as James Bond holding the cufflinks, just black shirt, no writing. That way, if people see it, they'll like, the real craft beer people will see that and be like, hey, New Belgium. I'm like, you know what's up.
I would vote for the same one, the Agent 77, just because it sounds good.
They honestly, they both sound really great.
What I like is that they're brewing it with international hops and Galaxy hops. I love Galaxy hops, and they're looking for a floral IPA that's also fruity and citrusy, as opposed to the sort of hazy IPA thing. So I think I would like that.
Agent 77. Dun 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 dun. Oh man!
So you can vote in that election, and And also don't forget to vote in the boring election.
In the real election.
All right. For the toast today, I'm gonna bring the mood down for a minute.
Oh no.
But I just wanted to. We normally like to make the toast fun and delightful, but I did want to take a moment to raise a glass, wishing the best of recovery, I guess, to the West Coast. I will be back in California as soon as I can be, and this situation is making it even harder for me to return to Los Angeles where I live, and to see the pictures. It's worse than we've ever seen it before, and there's a lot of people who have lost a lot, and for a lot of reasons. Climate change is real, and that's a big factor. There are plenty of other factors involved. It's just there's so much unnecessary devastation happening right now, and it is it's a natural event. But I want to dedicate this episode to those who are suffering, those who are fighting, surviving, and to the firefighters who are out there risking their lives to keep everyone as safe as possible. So this is a little bit of a sad toast. But
we're offering it up though.
It feels like a moment when we just need to say something, because I've never really been so terrified of natural disasters before, and it's probably compounded by the pandemic and everything, but it seriously looks apocalyptic out there.
Yeah,
and it's just California is I think I can safely say my favorite place I've ever lived. I've lived a lot of places. California is my favorite, and it's very pretty there, and there's a lot to love about that state, especially the north part of it, and then Oregon and Washington too, where I haven't even been, but they're just the Pacific Northwest is just a great, beautiful area filled with coastlines and forests and wineries and natural. I mean, just there's so much beauty there, and there's just a lot of devastation being left in the wake of these uncontrolled fires, and it's just September. I mean, fire season is just beginning.
I finally saw those photos you were talking about, how like the skyline looks very orange and bright.
Yeah.
And going off of kind of what you said last time, like there is an element of it like, wow, that kind of does look beautiful, but it's so bright that it frightened me when I saw it online. I thought, oh my God, like that's no joke. So
it's absolutely horrible. And, there's plenty more people more qualified to speak about what's going on and what got us there than us. We're just idiots who drink beer. But much. I just, felt like I wanted to raise a glass of this one in dedication to those affected by those fires. So stay safe out there, and our best wishes. Shake it off. Moving on.
Reset the momentum.
We are going to do a taproom special. We mentioned Crue Brew. We got to visit there. We got to speak with Kevin Merritt, who is the owner there, and had a great conversation.
Our new best friend.
He hooked us up. But this place is the epitome of everything that we love to celebrate on the hop. So it is with extreme joy that we introduce you and take you to Crue Brew Brewing.
Taproom Special.
Okay, here we are at Crue Brew Brewery. So far, crushing it.
Just very friendly, family-oriented brewery. We're going to get into more details later when we're back on the mics. But for right now, we've got another flight, and we've got a flight plus one.
We've got a flight plus some. They're just, this is the kind of place that, we'll get all into it, but it's a husband and wife team opened the brewery. They had the idea in 2014. They opened in 2018. That guy, Kevin, I believe is his name.
Yep.
just handed us our beer and, is
brought us an extra one because he's the man.
Just the nicest guy. And, we walked into just an instant atmosphere of community,
camaraderie,
even in the midst of COVID and social distancing.
Yeah.
So it's great. And
we are currently sitting outside
Yep.
Under a fun tent. So we've got some shade, which is pretty great. And yeah, we chose 4 interesting beers, and we're ready to get started with it. I'll be drinking 2, Steven will be drinking 2, and then we've got our last one that he gave us a little bit of that we'll be sharing. And yeah, let's kick it off.
So I'm starting off with the Everyday ESB. I'm excited to bring this beer style back to the hop.
It's back.
It's back. We had the one a few weeks ago, and I'm just into the style now.
Yeah.
So I'm intrigued. This is an extra special bitter. Again, this style is known for its balance and the interplay between malt and hop bitterness. The English Pale Ale here displays earthy, herbal English variety hop character in Nugget, Fugle or Fuggle, and East Kent Golding, Fuggle.
Nugget.
And a background strong biscuit-like malt character. It clocks in at a 4.2% ABV, nice and subtle on the SRM chart. It's like a wood amber sort of pale looking color to it with a nice sort of, I would call it off-white head. And on the nose, I'm drinking this alone, so I feel like Gabe's just watching me. Caramel, honey, definitely biscuit and malt for sure. I don't get a lot of the hop character in the aroma. It's sort of just like malt forward for sure. And it's subtle. It's sort of like when you put your nose to like an amber ale or a red ale or something like that. It's definitely that caramel malty character leading the way with a little bit of touch of sweetness behind it. Maybe like agave.
Interesting.
But you don't get a lot of the hops on the nose. I mean, there's a little bit of sort of, I guess, a slight earthiness, which I could attribute to the hops, but ultimately it's the malt up front.
Dive in. Nugget.
And on the flavor, it really delivers. And here's the thing. I think you would like this.
Yeah.
Because the bitter that we had a few weeks ago from
Upper Pass
was very bitter. Like, very, very bitter. This is balanced with a good bit of sweetness.
Okay.
Which I think cuts through the bitterness and really makes it far more drinkable and balanced.
Okay. Interesting.
And that is really nice. You get...
How bitter is it? Like, how bitter does it taste? Or is it kind of hidden?
It tastes more like hoppiness than like a bitterness. Like, it's not like that combination of like bitter malt and bitter hops comes together and just this explosion of bitterness. Right. It's not that, which I feel like the Upper Pass one kind of was. This one is a little bit more balanced. It's sort of like if you took an amber ale and just dialed up the hoppiness a little bit.
So yeah, I would definitely like that.
On the nose, the first thing that hits you is the malt. You definitely get a breadiness, not yeastiness, but sort of a biscuit, cereal grain, some toasted, like honey. Like there's a sweetness to it, and then the bitterness sort of takes over pretty quickly, and it's those English hops, the Nugget, Fuggle. And English Golding.
I hope we're saying it wrong, just so someone could be like, guys, it's Fugle.
And the East Kent Golding too. So that hop blend comes together with a nice, just herbal quality. So it's not overwhelmingly bitter, and I think that is a difference from the one we had on the show previously. So solid.
Nice.
Fan. Love it.
All right, my turn. I am starting off. You mentioned it a few times, amber ales, and that is exactly where I'm going. I have the Firepit Amber Ale, coming in at 4.5% ABV. From their description, features a crystal clear, dark ruby red color. That is 100% true. Tropical fruit and citrus hop flavors. The super hoppiness is balanced using German Munich malt, which gives undertones of caramel and a smooth malty sweetness. So this is definitely my kind of beer. Definitely got that like orangey reddish wooden color to it. On the nose, yeah, I mean, all of those. It's got the caramel sweetness to it, but it's also very, very malty. The backbone of this on the nose so far is definitely malt forward. It's got those sort of sweet malt flavors to it. Yeah, definitely not getting any sort of citrus or anything like that. But I mean, classic amber ale. So pinky out. Here we go.
Pinkies up. Yeah, I feel like that is a nice sort of segue out of what I was just drinking, or vice versa. But it's like sort of mine is a more bitter version, I would imagine, of what it looks like you're having right now.
Right. So the bitterness is definitely there. It's on the back end 100%. I almost taste it first. It's weird. I taste like the bitterness first, then the caramel malt, some toffee notes, and then it goes back to the bitterness.
Okay.
So it's kind of like a 1-2-1 punch in a way. But it's very smooth. It's not too carbonated in the mouth. Like, it's obviously got some, but it's not, it goes down very simple. Yeah, it's literally like bitter malt bitter. And that's interesting. I don't think I've had something like that before where it takes turns. You know what I mean? Like, and I mean, just the color of it, like this reddish orangey, this dark. It looks like whiskey if you hold it in the right light. You know what I mean? Like it looks like a type of whiskey. The head retention was pretty good. Little bit of foam. It's been sitting here for a minute or two, but the small head is still there. German Munich malts. Big fan. It works. It's over everything. It's caramel and toffee above anything, but it does have the subtle sweetness to it that kind of makes it all rounded together. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Sounds like a traditional
amber. Yeah, I love it.
I want you to try the bitter now as like an upgrade of that, but you can't because it just kicked. So sucks to be you. And we're not going to share because of COVID.
I will go off of your analysis, and maybe one day we'll come back to this magical land.
I hope so. Yeah, we didn't get to really go inside. Really, we walked in the door and they took our order and we found tables outside. So but it looked like a nice spot. It's sort of your traditional brewery, like industrial sort of warehousey park we're in.
Yeah, the tents are being held down by kegs, so that's pretty awesome.
Yep. With, a bar inside that is properly socially distanced at the moment. And we happen to be here on Sunday, so definitely a lot of Patriots game on the TV. Yep. We are in Pat's Nation.
Pat's Nation. Cam Newton looked good. Just gonna say that. But they've got a lot of cans to go. We're gonna grab some on our way out so we can record back on the mics.
And as an aside, there are sort of posts, like cement posts at the edge of each parking spot, which we're sitting in the parking lot, so they're blocked off. But for some reason, the one that I'm sitting next to has a sticker on it that just says "Ride a fucking bike," and I don't know what that means or why.
Tour de France.
All right,
you're up.
I am up, and I have another beer, and I mean, I'm very excited about it.
This one's strong. I don't remember what Kevin said to us, but he was like, I think it's what, 12 or 13?
All right, we have the Old Rusty Wagon. It is 11% ABV. Now, this is a Belgian strong dark ale. From their website, some of the most highly sought after and elusive beers in the world fall into the Belgian dark strong ale category. On the nose, you'll encounter a complex array of fruity esters and bready malts, along with some spiciness and perceivable but not boozy alcohol. Raisins, plums, and figs typify the fruit notes, while the malts are often described as caramel and bread. As the beer warms, new flavors emerge for an increasingly complex beer. Ooh! This is Steven's style right here.
Yeah, that sounds like you.
Yeah. Now, the color of it is similar to all kind of the colors of all the beers we've been having. Yeah. It's a sort of dark amber. I mean, it's not like when I think of like a dark sort of like barrel-aged beer, especially, like it's not that dark. Mm-hmm. It is an amber color.
It's another wooden,
pale orange almost.
Yeah, another woody color.
Yeah. But yeah, on the nose, You definitely get the sense that this is going to be a Belgian ale. You definitely get a smell of Belgian spice, banana and clove. You get the yeast esters for sure come through. I don't get a whole lot of booziness on the nose. There's sort of a woodenness to it, like maybe a little bit of oak. There's something about the smell that if I smelled it, I'd be like, okay, this isn't a saison. You know what I mean? It's definitely a Belgian ale.
Interesting.
But not
Wooden
like a saison.
Oak.
It's yeast esters and sort of malt on the nose for sure. And like I said, the alcohol doesn't really come through on the nose to me.
Chug it down. Chug the 11%. Oh, he's getting up. He's walking away. We lost him. I can't tell if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Oh, that was so good, though. When you take a sip of it, all the fruit comes forward first. You get all the sweet. You get everything that I just said, that raisin, that dark fruit, sort of like macerated cherry, that like dark sweetness comes through for sure. And the malt is there, but it's just holding it up on the backbone. It's sort of a sweet malt, again, caramel and honey. The yeast esters are present. There's definitely some cloves, some spiciness, some of that Belgian stuff that we've come to become accustomed with. And there's an absolute boozy character to this. I mean, you take a sip of it, and it kind of shoots through your nose a little bit. And it's not bitterness. It's not hoppiness or pininess. It's booze. I mean, it's very strong. This is 11%, and it definitely has that characteristic of like I just took a sip of a good whiskey or something. I mean, it's boozy. It's boozy for sure.
Oh, it's music to my ears.
Well, I have a little bit more music for your ears, because according to Kevin, who dropped it off, they are aging this motherfucker in Maker's Mark barrels. And they'll be releasing that in December, which,
like,
honestly, I mean,
listen, if you like whiskey, if you like Maker's Mark in particular, I mean, that sounds pretty epic.
And if you know anything about the hop, we love barrel-aged beer.
True that.
We absolutely love barrel-aged beer. So this beer is complex, and it's one of those beers, when you get into this higher ABV category, these categories of Belgian dark ales or barley wines or things like that.
Yeah.
You get into a style of beer that as it warms in your mouth, the flavor changes and more things sort of reveal themselves to you as you go. It's a more sophisticated level of beer drinking. It's like, I love your classic Pilsners or Saisons but as those develop, they don't change as much for me as something like this. This is a sort of slow sipper, and as you sip on it and as it warms in your mouth and as your palate becomes accustomed to it, you're going to just peel off new layers here, there, like an onion.
Yeah, see, that's the best.
It's fantastic.
When you can find new stuff in each sip, like that's kind of great.
Yeah.
All right, next up for me, the Lone Wolf IPA. Again, very similar color to the amber, not as reddish, but a little more orangey. It coming in at 6.5% ABV. The description from the place says, mentality is don't walk someone else's path. Being different and being a lone wolf allows us to innovate and create to our heart's desire. Our Belgian IPA is a relatively new style inspired by the hoppiness of an American Indian Pale Ale and finished with the fruity and spicy flavors of a Belgian yeast strain. This beer is more complex than your typical IPA. Oh boy. This thirst for something deeper and greater is what initiates us all onto the path of the Lone Wolf. If that doesn't want to make you drink this beer, you have problems, man. That sounds incredible.
It sounds like Gabe. Gabe likes wolves.
I do like animals, and I do like wolves. On the nose, yeah, I'm getting the yeasty esters, earthy pininess, little bit of bitterness.
What's the ABV again?
6.5.
Okay.
Definitely Belgian forward. Belgian. Maybe a hint of lemon and banana, but definitely the yeasty esters and, like I said, that earthiness. So good head retention. This is the fourth beer, so it's been sitting here the longest, and it's got the best head retention, I would argue. So that's pretty cool. Mm-hmm. Here I go.
Again, on my own.
Wow. Hashtag malts.
Hashtag Belgian.
That's all I can taste. Wow, interesting. Not getting any fruity or spicy flavors. It's just yeast and Belgian and malt. That is like the only thing.
When you say Belgian, are you talking to like banana, clove?
I'm talking about like the cloveness. Not really getting much. I got banana on the smell. I'm not getting it in the taste. I think, their description, like fruity, spicy flavors. I'm not getting a lot of spice. Mm-hmm. I'm getting just kind of straightforward yeast. And like I said, I mentioned it for the third time, but that's all I can say is the earthiness to it. Yeah, it's very interesting. It is very different. I would completely agree. This is not a typical IPA, because it's got like the body of a Belgian, but the mind of an IPA, if that makes sense.
Is there hoppiness? Are you getting hops?
Not really. I'm not really getting a lot of hops, which is interesting to me. It's very, very different. Smell it.
Yeah, I mean, I get a lot of Belgian spice off that.
It's like, it's a Belgian, but it's an IPA at the same time.
It's a Belgian, but there's something sort of almost minty or bubblegum-y in the smell, and if that follows through on the taste, then I would think there's something bitter-y behind it, which is the hops.
Overall, it's interesting. It's weird, but it's cool. It can hang. It can definitely hang at the table.
The smell reminds me of the Raging Bitch.
Okay. Interesting.
Flying Dog.
Yeah.
Which is a Belgian triple IPA. Huh. It's like all of those Belgian characteristics combined with a bit of hoppiness in the back end.
Right.
To sort of make this blend between Belgian styles and...
The bitterness is there. The bitterness is in the back end subtly, but it's there. I think out of the two, I like the Firepit a little bit better, but I do like this. What about you?
Oh, I mean... Old Rusty all the way.
Old Rusty.
That Belgian dark ale thing, I mean, I'm going to have to fly back here from California in December and come get this when they put it in Maker's Mark barrels, because
Yeah, that sounds completely just game-changing. We do need to get out of here and get back to the mics, but like we said, Kevin, our boy, did give us a small pour of one of their other beers.
One more. So basically the bitter kicked, and to make up for that, they brought out...
Ooh.
The bitter kicked by, like, I don't know, a millimeter, like a tiny bit, and so they brought out two entire half beer pours.
Yeah, which is great.
So we have their CB Porter. This is a 7% ABV porter. It uses real maple syrup, slight aromas of maple, followed by balanced notes of vanilla, caramel, and chocolate, with a subtle roast on the finish. Pours dark and silky, restrained, spicy, and earthy undertones from the Fuggle and Golding hops.
Oh my god.
Delicious to the last drop. Now, I'm excited for this because it's a maple beer, and I don't think they used maple sap in place of the water. But they did use real maple syrup in here. And
on the nose, roasted malt, a little bit of that coffee.
Sweet maple syrup.
Sweet maple syrup, yeah, definitely. Like, picture you taking a bath in maple syrup, and like, after the bath is done, you just like run around outside. That's what I'm smelling.
Yeah. Yikes.
We've been drinking all day. What do you want me to do?
Yeah, it's a smell of like maple syrup and coffee. Like the maple syrup really brings out the coffee notes, the sweetness of the coffee notes, and the sweetness of the roasted malt, as opposed to the bitterness. So
I feel like I want to be eating French toast with this.
Yeah, it's like a breakfast stout. Almost.
Oh yeah,
but it's
100%.
a porter. It's a porter, not a stout. But.
Here we go. Oh wow,
it's really good.
Oh wow. See, okay, here's the thing. We've had a couple maple stouts and maple this and maple syrup that, and I feel like most of what we had gets close, or they're either off by a lot or they get very, very close. This has a great balance to it. I'm tasting cinnamon. I'm tasting creaminess. Like, I'm definitely tasting the sweetness of the maple syrup. Like, it's all blended together so well.
Yeah, I feel the exact same way. I am tasting cinnamon as well. I'm tasting that vanilla and chocolate. It's like all these dessert flavors, tiramisu, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Espresso and rum-soaked lady finger cakes, you know, all that tiramisu stuff.
Cannolis.
But a lot of beers promise vanilla notes, and then I feel like they don't follow through. This absolutely has vanilla flavor to it.
Oh, yeah, 100%. It's almost as if they just put a vanilla bean in the cup.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I mean, the maple syrup flavor is there, but that flavor doesn't dominate over everything. The roasted malts are really sturdy and can stand up to that. The hoppiness is not, like, you don't taste hops, but it does balance it out. It's a really well-balanced maple porter versus, like, the last time we had a maple stout on the show. I felt like it was so maple that it was
you got hit with it too much.
Yeah, and this is just way more balanced, and it's really pleasant to drink.
Absolutely delicious. This is like, you could have this like whenever. I mean, it's fall, but we might need a 4-pack of this to take home instead.
Yeah, right.
Honestly.
It at 7% ABV, it is really sneaky.
Oh, that's dangerous. All right, that does not taste like 7. That tastes like 5 or 6. Definitely not 7. So.
And this is why it's great to come visit a brewery, because I never would have ordered this. I wouldn't have been my go-to. I would have said no. Like, it's interesting, but there's more on your menu I need to try.
Right.
The ones I picked, and again, the spirit of family, community, the spirit of camaraderie and everything else. They come out, they're like, here's some pours on the house, and it ends up being one of the best ones we had.
Crue Brew in Massachusetts. You got to get your hands on this beer, or come here if you're local to the area.
Raynham, Mass, anywhere near Boston.
It's not too far from Foxborough. Man, so now compare all three. I mean, I think I put the CB Porter at number 1, honestly.
I'm still giving it to the Rusty Wagon.
Oh, okay. You're giving that second, though?
This will go second place, and then the bitter, but I liked the bitter a lot, too. Like, I don't have any
qualms,
misfires here.
Yeah.
I'm completely happy. I think this place is just really impressive, and I'm so happy we
made the trip.
Included this on our sort of tour up here, because I think that this was a big win.
The only thing that sucks about this trip is that I haven't heard the thick Boston accent that I've been hoping for.
We got to go into the city for that.
All right. Well, we got to do what we got to do.
All right, guys. Thank you for joining us, for sticking with us, for tolerating us, and we'll see you back on the mics.
Cheers.
The only thing that was missing from that was hearing from Kevin. I kind of wish we had gotten a quote or talked to him for a little bit, but you guys don't understand how awesome it was to be there and how awesome it was to talk to him. We tried 5 different beers, and they were, each one was kind of better than the next in a way. And
yeah, man, I'm still thinking about that the old Rusty Wagon.
Old Wagon.
And he's putting that in those barrels.
Maker's Mark.
I'm going to fly back from California just to get that.
The other thing is, I loved how specific he was. He didn't say, he could have just said bourbon barrels, but they were like, no, specifically Maker's Mark.
Yeah.
So that's really cool.
This is a place, we talked to Kevin a little bit when we shut the mics off. We were just talking about all the different beer. First of all, such a diverse beer list. I mean, it's not every beer, not every brewery you go into has a menu filled with, they gave us the maple porter, which we confirmed with Kevin, by the way,
does use water.
Does have water.
Not maple sap to replace it, but water, yeah.
They have, everything from that to the bitter I drank, to the Belgian, to what we're going to drink now, to triples, to, they're all over the map, and that's what's great.
Yeah, they mentioned that he has the Shandy Beach made with lemonade. It's great, and I know we'll get into a little bit later, but his wife, when they first started, his wife was the one who made a mango beer. Not sure that it's on tap right now, but she was the mastermind behind that and got it going. So I mean,
didn't he also say he's got some kind of like contest or something with his employees where they're like,
yeah, so I think it was either next month or in November. He said the employees are going to make their concoctions, and whichever one kind of wins or tastes the best is going to be on the menu.
That's great.
Hell yeah,
love it.
That would make you want to go to work.
Yeah. I got to get this one right today.
No, get out of my way, I gotta go.
Our second beer that we have here is
second beer.
So our 19th beer.
Yeah,
it's called the Night Crew. It's a strong ale, a strong American ale. Clocks in at 8% ABV, and on the SRM chart, I would say
looking at all of the beers are pretty similarly colored. We're looking kind of at that woody-ish color, darkish orange, a little hint of red.
Yeah, it falls in line with the colors we were seeing.
24-ish, 25-ish, kind of, more or less.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It's not available for a rating on Beer Advocate as of this moment. It has a nice, again, that sort of off-white head.
Yeah, when we first poured it, big pillowy head, kind of dissipated, but yours is still kind of there. Mine kind of went away, but yours is still there.
Still lingering, and a good bit of lacing too. It looks really, really nice. This is a collaboration with Night Shift. Coming back to see, it all comes full circle here on the hop.
I didn't. So when we were talking about the Night Shift part of the news and notes, I didn't want to spoil it, so I didn't say anything. But I was like, this is perfect for what we're drinking later.
It contains, according to their website, notes of caramel, plum, and grapefruit pith. So we'll see about that. Also, a portion of the proceeds from the beer are being donated to the Shelton Johnson Scholarship Fund. That is an organization that helps graduating seniors from the city of Boston pursue their dreams of post-secondary education. So,
hell yeah.
Good work.
Beer helps. What have we been trying to tell you people?
Beer, we've been saying it.
Beer supports
every week. All right, let's dig our noses in.
Okay.
I definitely get caramel. I get booze. I'm getting some booziness off this for sure.
I thought you said boobs. I get boobs. What? Yeah, it's definitely
depends on the booze.
Jesus. I would agree. It definitely smells like an 8%. I'll give it that. I'm getting, maybe it goes along with it, but I'm definitely getting some hoppiness.
Bitter, yeah.
It's not, it doesn't punch you in the mouth, but it's definitely there. It's definitely present. I would agree with the caramel. Maybe I haven't tasted or smelled a plum in a while. I don't know if I'm getting plum right away.
No, I'm not, but I'm getting bitter. I'm getting a little bit of bitter citrus too, maybe some grapefruit in the subtly in there.
Yeah.
But I think the main aromas that come off it for me are piney bitter hops, definite sort of grassiness, and the booziness, and a little bit of caramel malt. That's what I'm smelling.
I'm getting a little bit of sweetness. I'm assuming it's from the caramel malt. I would agree. The citrusy notes are there. They're not too overpowering. I feel like if you really want to get it, you got to take like a big whiff. But they're definitely there. We are both drinking out of just classic pint glasses. Yeah, shall we?
We shall. Let's do it.
Clink! Thank you, Crue Brew. And thank you, Night Shift. Medium to strong carbonation. Nice mouthfeel. Definitely medium to full-bodied.
Full-bodied for sure.
Caramel is very strong. I would argue a little bit of that toffiness, but I feel like toffee and caramel kind of go hand in hand sometimes.
It's there, though, because it's bitter. You know what this tastes like to me? If you took that English-style bitter I drank yesterday and amped up the ABV, boom. It tastes like that a lot.
Interesting. So then I would like it.
It's less on the nose, I was saying I smell bitter. I smell kind of earthy pininess. It's less of that kind of hoppy and more of the toffee bitterness, like you were saying.
And the bitterness definitely lingers. I'm getting a lot of it in the back end.
Yeah.
It's definitely there. I think if you are not a fan of stronger, this is called a strong ale, but if you're not a fan of that, I don't know if I would call this a bite, but it's got like a nibble almost. But if you're not a fan of that, you probably won't like it.
I mean, at 8% ABV, it is intense, and it definitely has a bite to it. If you kind of let it dance around the front of your mouth a little bit, you detect the citrus notes. I mean, I definitely get some grapefruit. I definitely get a little bit of sort of orange peel. I get some of those things up front, but the bitterness is strong and powerful and present. I mean, it's we don't know exactly what the malt bill is on this one, but
I would be very interested to know.
I would, if I had to take a stab at it, I would guess there were some English malts going on in there.
Probably,
similar to that
probably.
Bitter.
I don't know that I'm getting citrusy off the taste, to be honest with you.
It's really subtle to me.
Okay. Interesting.
But if I would imagine, like I said, that there's some some of those English malts, the biscuit,
because you mentioned it's kind of like the bitter, but the bitter's cousin, if you will, and so there were English, malts in there, and so it completely makes sense.
Pumpernickel bread,
Oh yeah, I would completely agree with that. This is, I don't know if I would call it, it's interesting. I don't know if I would call this like a sipper. I mean, I've been taking pretty normal sized gulps and whatnot.
Yeah, but it's kind of dangerous in there if you forget that it's got that.
It's
8% or,
Eat dinner before drinking one or two.
Yeah. So Night Crew. Okay. There's just
Crue
plenty
Brew.
We could say about
Night Crew's the beer.
Good call. Crue Brew. There's just plenty we could say about them.
Love them.
It's a family-run brewery. We've mentioned Kevin and his wife Tammy Merritt are the husband and wife team that came up with the idea. They took a tour of a brewery in Rhode Island, and they were sort of inspired. Apparently, Kevin said to her, "We can do this."
Yeah, I guess on the tour they said about 10 to 12 people run this brewery, and the light bulb just went off, and he was like, "Let's do it." So that's awesome.
That was in 2014. Kevin is a high school teacher. He is a 10th grade geometry teacher at the moment at Madison Park High in Boston. But at the time, he was teaching a business class to his students. And so in 2015, he was like, this is how easy it is to form an LLC. And there on the whiteboard in front of the class, the LLC was born.
Yeah.
They contract brewed for a while. Then they opened their own space that we got to visit in 2018.
Yeah, this from their website and from what kind of he has told us, it was definitely, not overnight. It was a long process, but they got it done. They formed a couple business plans, and they were speaking with like veterans in the beer world, such as Peter Eggleston, the owner of Smutty Nose, who answered a lot of questions for them. They took a private tour of Smutty Nose at one point, and then they eventually found the spot. They got their American equipment, and they just started getting the work done. So he had help along the way, but who doesn't? You know what I mean?
So they're on a 5-barrel system at their spot. To get that brewery opened, the couple borrowed from the equity in their house, took loans from their brother, mother, from all over the place. Right. And they initially opened in 2018 on a Sunday. They had apparently a cornhole tournament between the police and the firefighters.
Yeah.
So it was a private day for those guys. The police won, which is dope. But everything about Crue Brew is about community.
Yes.
It's about, how the brewing community has helped them, welcomed them, brought them in, and how they are a part of this community now. Right. This collab with Night Shift is one. They've done a collaboration with 67 Degrees, which is another brewery in the area. They've done a collab with a whole bunch of places up there.
They are, one of those spots that they have to serve food in order to be recognized as like quote unquote restaurant. That way they could stay COVID. Open. Yeah. Their grilled cheeses were on point.
They did what they were supposed to do.
And then we drank about it. It was great.
They're also Okay, so we've mentioned this before, but they're one of 5 black-owned breweries in the state of Massachusetts. Well, they're one of 2 that has their own spot. Even White Lion, which has been on this show, doesn't have their own tap room. Crue Brew does.
Yeah.
So that makes them really unique. But it's the kind of place, we said when we were there. You walk in, Kevin is there. He's doing the work.
He greeted us with the biggest smile, and he was so happy to see us,
and never took it down the whole time. And he's out there. He's bringing the beer to the table. He's serving. He's
doing the dirty work.
He's
the owner.
Yeah. And we mentioned, what we were doing, and he started spouting off all these other breweries, and I'm surprised you didn't go over here. Trillium's over here, and this brewery. There were just so many in the area.
Castle Island, I think you mentioned.
Yeah, and we, couldn't hit every brewery in the area.
We only had so much time, and we were only
we could only get so drunk.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he really helped us out, and he gave us suggestions, and when we shut the place down, we were the last 2 people there, and he was cleaning up. He was taking in chair. I mean, he was doing
Kevin,
everything.
we apologize for keeping you so late. We did.
Whoops.
We thought you were open until 7. That's on me. I own that.
Yeah, they came out for last call, and we were like, oh, crap. Okay. We're getting beers to go.
We misfired this one.
They were like, no worries. We got you. It was great.
Yeah, it had such the vibe of it's exactly what you want when you go to a brewery on a Sunday. It's it's community, it's people, it's camaraderie, it's celebration, it's everything like that. Even in the face, of course, of social distancing and all that kind of stuff.
And they also had football on the TV. So
it was a Sunday.
We walked in, and the first thing we heard was down at the 47, he's got a first down. We were like, oh, we're home.
It was the first day of big NFL games. We had to watch.
We had every brewery we went to, I think, had a game on, and then for the games that weren't televised, we had on our phones. Yep. We did the whole thing. And
at one of the breweries, they came out and they're like, we got the game on in here. I'm like, yeah, that's the Patriots. I'm going to need the Packers.
Yeah. Packers and Chargers both won.
Yes, some more than others.
Yeah, one team did better than the other.
More definitive.
But that's a story for another day.
All right. I swore we weren't going to talk about football this episode.
I know. Sorry, guys. Let's move on to the tap list.
Yeah, let's do that.
Let's talk about just as of right now on their site, displaying 15 items, all different from the next. I mean, we're looking at most of the beers we tried at the place, but we're looking at a porter, we're looking at an IPA double, we're looking at the bitter, red ale, New England IPA, Euro pale ale. I mean, they've got all different sorts of things. We highly recommend the Old Rusty Wagon.
Yep, and the CB Porter as well. Which,
yes.
Again, we weren't going to order that. We said this when we were there.
He gave it to us,
Kevin
and
gave
then
it to us.
We got beers to go. The Night Crew was one of them. The one we're drinking now was one of them, and I grabbed the CB Porter because it was so good.
Yep, and it's. I feel like we've gotten to try so many of their beers. It's not every day you get to walk into a new brewery and sample so much of the list.
That's exactly, and especially for these episodes. I mean, we do. At most we do 4 beers. Mm-hmm. If we do 4 beers for a brewery, that's we got 4 beers. We gotta focus. We gotta get our heads in the game. And we had 5 there. We have 1 here. We have another beer that we're not going to feature on the show, but it is the Ultraviolet Blonde Ale. It's a blueberry blonde ale.
Yep.
You can probably guess who chose that one. Who decided let's take that one home. It was me. Deep purple blonde ale, juicy flavors with over 29 pounds of blueberry puree. I mean, how could you say no?
Yeah, I can't recommend Crue Brew enough. If you ever find yourself in or around the Boston area, it's a little outside Boston, well worth the trip, near where the Patriots play. Go, it's that far away from Boston.
And specifically, it's located at Ryan's Industrial Park in Rainham. I don't know how to say it.
And we could talk about them forever, but we'll spare you that. Hopefully, you've gotten a good overview of the place, and we can't wait to go back and drink more of their beers.
Dude, honestly, I mean, it was what 2.5 hours away by car, which is like nothing to us.
Yeah.
We just got in the car. We said, "Let's go."
Maybe we could have Kevin on one day.
Dude, I would love that. Are you kidding me? He would love that. He would be all for that. He was chatting us up when he was closing down shop.
Before we get out of here, we have to end on our fun topic.
I wish we had the intro music for
Chef's Table.
The show.
Chef's Table.
Chef's Table, ladies and gentlemen.
Table.
But not just Chef's Table. Not just the regular episodes, not just the normal stuff. There's a new thing out.
Yes, there is.
Chef's Table Barbecue.
Sound the alarm.
Bruh.
Holy crap.
Bruh.
Listen, everyone knows about Chef's Table. We're not here to talk about a show that's 6 years old, okay? Everyone knows about Chef's Table. But the barbecue edition, though.
It's so different. It's so new, but it couldn't be cooler. It's 4 chefs, I believe, that are featured.
The barbecue
from
edition has
all
four.
over.
4, yeah.
Texas, South Carolina, Australia, and...
Was it South Carolina or North Carolina?
I think
I
it
don't
was
know which one.
South.
Okay.
And Mexico.
Bali. Wait.
No, that was the other guy.
Who went to Bali? Oh, yeah.
I believe the fourth
Mexico.
chef was Mexico. Right. Yeah, I mean, just from all over and how they barbecue and what they do. But we want to talk specifically about our girl Tootsie.
Well, okay. Here's what I want to talk about first and foremost.
All right.
I happened to obtain a smoker this summer. I've been really into smoking meat. I don't know if we've talked about it on the show.
4th of July was dope.
Story for another time. But I'm really into that right now. And this show came out, and I've watched Chef's Table before, and I've always liked it. And it appeared on Netflix, like just a preview before it even came out. And I said to Gabe, like, oh my God, we have to watch this. And Gabe was like, no thanks. And do not even front. And then...
I don't know about all that.
Yes, you did. And then I was like, shut the fuck up, and played the trailer. And when I played the trailer, that's when Gabe was like, yeah, we need to watch that. But at first, when I first said it, you were like, yeah, it could be cool. And then I hit play on that trailer, and you were like, oh, wow. Because...
All right, whatever.
In the trailer, they talked about this woman, Tootsie.
83-year-old grandmother in Texas who shovels the coals herself.
I mean, this woman is a badass.
Raises the meat, seasons the meat by herself. She does everything, and it has nothing to do with the fact that her age. It's just the fact that she runs the place. She does everything. She's, on Chef's Table, they interview them and they, deep dive in to their lives. And so, homegirl's been through it with certain things. I'll leave the information to you when you go see the episode. But I mean, the food if you don't get hungry after watching one of those episodes, I don't know what you're doing.
The stamina this woman has is unprecedented. She works as a custodian at a high school, and she works there, 5 days a week. And then on Fridays, I guess it is, she wakes up at 1 a.m. to drive 2 hours to where her barbecue spot is, which has now been named the #1 barbecue in Texas.
Yep.
And she lights the grills to have, flamed smoke and barbecue ready at 8 a.m. where there's lines round the block. Place is packed.
There are lines wrapped around the block, but at 8 a.m.
Yes.
They open the doors at 8 and there's a line.
And they interview
Can you
this
imagine
woman
getting barbecue at 8 in the morning?
for her.
For her, I would.
And the thing is, they like Gabe said, they show her. I mean, she is taking a shovel, digging hot coals out, piling them into the smoker pits. She's, maintaining the grills herself. She's putting the meat on. She is just and the other thing I want to say about her, besides giving her a big round of applause, is they ask her, because, see, you're going to get hungry watching this. I don't. All I think when I'm watching this is, I need to know everything you need to do.
Yeah.
I need to write it down.
Walk me through step by step.
They ask her, and she's like, I mean, I just put like, my rub is just like salt and pepper, and I can't tell you how hot my grills are because I just put my hands on them, and that's how I know. I mean, I'll say it again. Tootsie, and everyone in that Chef's Table show, by the way. She is one episode. The Australian guy might be my favorite. He grills salad. The man,
he uses open fire for everything. He doesn't use electricity, he doesn't use gas. He just makes a fire pit, puts a grill thing on it, and grills salad.
The guy in Carolina is doing whole hog barbecue, which is just completely badass. And the woman in Mexico is using grill techniques that were created by ancient Mayans, and she's still doing it.
And she's killing it.
And she's crushing it.
It's incredible.
It's just, this show, like, listen, you could be into food media or not. Chef's Table is, undisputedly one of the best food documentary shows that there is. That's why they're Emmy nominated every single year. But this iteration of Chef's Table, hands down, to me, is the best thing you can watch on Netflix right now.
And they've got all the classics. They've got, between the four of them, they've got the brisket, they've got the pulled pork, they've got the steak, they've got, salad. They've got tacos. They've got, the woman in Mexico makes tortillas, handmade tortillas, from scratch. Like, it's crazy. Cornmeal and all that stuff.
A look at barbecue technique. Barbecue, I might just be obsessed with barbecue. I may just need to study barbecue and like the history of barbecue and the anthropology of barbecue and where it comes from and how we have so many different styles. But barbecue is a thing that's unique to different regions depending on where you are. And this show gives you a real look at what is Texas barbecue, which I would probably put Kansas City into that box, versus Carolina barbecue versus Australian barbecue. The shrimp on the Barbie thing, like that's
shrimp on the Barbie.
You get to see the truth of what it is there, and then you get to see ancient Mayan barbecuing techniques. It's just it's unreal.
My favorite part about the Australian guy episode, of course we don't know his name, he mentioned like the stereotype of shrimp on the Barbie. He was like, well, I mean, it's there for a reason. We like it that way.
They have the ocean right there. They can get fresh seafood, and then they can put it on the grill. In one scene this is the last thing we'll say about this. In one scene in that episode, the guy fishes for like a crab, pulls it out of the ocean, builds a fire pit in the sand.
On the beach.
And then grills it and eats it with his hands on the beach.
Bang! Exclamation point!
If that isn't the most badass thing you've ever heard, I would like you to email us, thehopod@gmail.com, and tell me what is the most badass thing you've ever heard. Because I don't think it could get much better than that.
It's Chef's Table, barbecue, Netflix. Do it up.
Make 10 more of those.
Please.
Thank you again for joining us for another great round. Please check out Crue Brew. Support them any way you can if you're able to get your hands on their beer. Could not recommend it enough. And follow us on the social medias and send us your rate and reviews on Apple Podcasts. We appreciate it, everybody.
And we'll be back Thursday for round 39. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We love you, Kevin.
We love you, Kevin. Have a
Peace
great
out,
week,
guys.